This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, coming to you from the New Media Production Studio. The lead stories are ex-Samsung executive alleged to have stolen tech to recreate a chip plant in China. Lawyers who cited fake legal cases generated by ChatGPT blame the software. Reddit suffers a major outage after thousands of subreddits temporarily shut down. And the new Twitter CEO's first email has been issued to employees. I want to welcome you to episode 1674 of the Geek News Central podcast for Monday, June 12th. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider. Again, geeknewscentral.com/insider. Of course, we want to welcome you to get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all the great content on the website. Please follow or subscribe to the podcast from the website and sign up for our newsletter as well. You'll find that link right within the website as well. Of course, you can always drop me an email, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at geeknews. You can join our chat room at geeknews.chat or our Discord channel. Again, link will be within the show notes of today's podcast. You can follow me on Facebook just by searching for my name, Todd Cochran. All our partner shows are linked at geeknewscentral.com. That includes the new media show, the Gadget Professor, Mr. Don Bain, the GNC Week in Review with Scott, our executive producer, Scott, and his our executive producer, Kirk, and his co-host, Scott. Boy, I just about got that screwed up. Of course, this show is and has been sponsored by the longest running continued sponsor of a podcast. That's our good friends at GoDaddy. And we have some new deals. Some new deals are available today. This just came down the pike just a few days ago. So first of all, that 30% discount code, it's gone. It's gone. It's out of here. But what we have in its place is a .com for a penny. Yes, your first .com purchase or any .com purchase, a penny. Now, caveat, the renewal fee is a little bit higher for that first year if you get it for a penny. But that first year, you can lock in at a penny just for the first year. $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year with a free domain. It still exists. $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year with a free domain. $2.99 a month manage WordPress hosting for the first year with a free domain exists as well. So again, hosting deals are still on. Instead of paying 99 cents for your .com, you pay a penny for it. And you can get a free trial of GoDaddy Website Builder, your choice of personal business plus plans. That's a 1-month free trial. So pay attention to the promo code changes at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can still save large. So now you're going to save about $9, $8.49, I think is it, or $8.48 is what you're going to save on that domain name purchase. Okay, for the first year. Again, the $1.99 a month economy hosting and $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting, both comes with free domain, is still your best value. It's the still best way to go to get signed up and get online. So just be aware of that, all right? And take advantage of these savings. Lock in your savings today. It's important that you do that. And again, these new offers, one gone that's been there forever, and this new offer from GoDaddy. So I want to thank GoDaddy for their longtime support of the show, of course. So here I am back in the studio, a little rusty, getting the show going tonight. And there's a bunch of stuff had unauthorized, so I had to reauthorize a bunch of logins and a whole bunch of other stuff. As a matter of fact, when I first turned on a couple of computers, said, hey, I'm not connected to the internet. And I had forgotten I'd shut off the one of the racks, had to get that turned on. So yeah, bringing everything back up from cold iron. And miraculously, everything is working exactly the way it's supposed to. It's good to be back in the studio. Good to be back on fast internet. And, but again, thanks for just doing audio only. And we're back with video with the show today. and the road show has come to an end. But I am going to be going down to Columbus. I leave for Columbus, Ohio tomorrow morning. There'll be no show on Thursday again this week. I go down there, meet with my team, and bring a whole bunch of stuff back. I've got a mixer down there. I've got a projector. So I'm bringing some of the stuff that I had in the office down there home, along with a new stand-up desk and a whole bunch of other stuff. So going to be moving some stuff, but meetings with the team this week, and then Friday, kind of a pack up. We're getting ready to shut down the Columbus office in July, so I'm probably going down there for one more run as we empty the rest of the place out and return the space to the leasee. So a lot of moving parts here, and my daughter just informed me of when she was having her baby shower, so I might be headed out to Oregon right after the 4th of July. I will get that kind of worked out and confirmed, but everything's after this week, we'll be back to normal for a while, for 2 shows a week, and then into August for Podcast Movement, and then September for the Podcast Awards, of course. So lots of stuff going on here. And good to be back in the studio, so forth. But I'm glad you're here with me as well. And if you're watching online, make sure you say hi, do a shout out. Definitely appreciate it when you do, whether you're watching on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you may be. Thanks for popping in here. All right, so I got a pretty good stack of stuff, and I had forgotten to tell Kirk there was going to be no Thursday show. And he did all the prep and everything, so there was show prep done for the last show, and ended up not doing a show. So I apologize to Kirk for wasting his time last Thursday, but I guess I just forgot to tell him there wasn't going to be a podcast. So leading off today, ex-Samsung executives alleged to have stolen tech to recreate chip plant in China. 6 others have been indicted in Korea as they have toughened response to leakage of secrets. And again, this Samsung Electronics former executive has been arrested and indicted. The indictment of the 65-year-old who served as vice president at rival Korean chipmaker SK Hynix comes as South Korea attempts to beef up its defense. According to a statement released by Korean prosecutors, the former Samsung vice president illegally acquired information need to build an advanced chip-making facility. His plan, says prosecutors, was to replicate a semiconductor factory just 1.5 kilometers away from Samsung's memory chip plant in Jian, western China. He says this is not a simple semiconductor tech leak, but an attempt to copy a whole chip plant, the Suwon District Prosecutor Office said. The scope of the crime and damage are incomparable to previous individual tech leak cases. If the domestic planes were copied and similar quality products were mass-produced in China, it would have caused irrevocable loss to the Korean semiconductor industry. The former executive hired about 200 employees from Samsung and SK Hynix for a company he established in Chengdu in China's Sichuan province. Their alleged task with acquiring trade secrets, costing Samsung US $230 million, according to the indictment. Now, here's the thing, and what we have learned over many, many years on this show. The Chinese don't innovate. They steal. They steal everything. They steal airplane designs. They steal jet engine designs. They steal IP. They go to electronic shows and copy menus verbatim. It is an industry within itself because in China, they're largely not creative. So they steal tech. Instead of making their own, they steal tech. This has been going on for many, many, many years. We've talked about it many, many times on this show. So it doesn't come to me as a surprise. No surprise whatsoever. At the same time, we have knuckleheads here in the United States, or at least I think these two are in the United States. The lawyers who cited fake legal cases generated by ChatGPT have blamed the software. Now, if you are going to be so stupid to be a lawyer and you are going to file a brief and you're going to use ChatGPT to come up with your legal brief, at least have the common sense to make sure that the cases that the ChatGPT cites actually happened and the outcomes were as described. Attorney Stephen Schwartz and Peter LoDuca, representing legal firm Levidow Oberman, of course, made headlines with submitting court documents to the Southern District Court of New York citing legal cases that were made up by ChatGPT. The judge, Judge Kevin Castel, is now considering whether to impose sanctions against the pair. In a hearing this week, they admitted to failing to verify the cases. These lawyers, so-called lawyers, who probably got their license out of a Cracker Jack box, in my opinion, said, I did not comprehend that ChatGPT could fabricate cases. Meanwhile, his partner, LoDuca, said, it never dawned on me that this was a bogus case and that the error pains him to no end. This is when they were suing a Colombian airline, Avianca, on behalf of a passenger who suffered an injury on board a flight in 2019 and turned to ChatGPT to find other similar cases. The chatbot then generated a list of false cases that they believe were true. The lawyers overestimated the technology ability without understanding how it works. You would think that you would ask, that you would look the cases up, because they cited case law that ChatGPT made up. You think you would go to your law library or whatever law legal thing you have, including your people that work for you, and look stuff up and make sure this legal advice that this legal briefing that you're giving uses actual case law. It blows me away. This is just a way that people are cheating the system and are going to get themselves, obviously, here in a big bunch of trouble. And I think what we'll find out here is more of these cases are going to pop up. Validate anything that you're creating in ChatGPT to make sure it's real. So therein lies a knucklehead. I wonder how much they charge that plaintiff. Probably working on, what do they call it? Commission. They're going to get 30% of the settlement. Thought this was just an easy win. Let's go. Let's use ChatGPT to file the brief. That is insanity. Reddit has suffered a major outage after thousands of subreddits temporarily shut down. The company blamed the protests for causing issues across its website and mobile apps. Thousands of communities temporarily closed shop to protest changes the company is making to its API, which is impacting several third-party apps. They said, we're aware of the problem, loading content and working to resolve the issue as quickly as possible. Read a message on Reddit's status page at 10:58 a.m. Eastern. By 11:30, the site was loading again. We're observing improvements across the site and expect issues to recover for most users. We'll continue to closely monitor the situation. An updated post at 11:47 a.m. reads, by about 1:30 in the afternoon, 2 to 3 hours later, the outage appeared to be over. Now, today I was canceling a hotel reservation I had made for down in Ohio in a couple of weeks for an event I was going to attend, and I couldn't get on the Hilton website. And I was on a timeline because the event was going to pre-charge the credit cards 10 days out, and I was coming up close to that time limit. So I called Hilton, but Hilton was down today for a number of hours and canceled over the phone. Now, I got to go back and double check because I never got my cancellation email from Hilton. They said they canceled in the system, but I never got the cancellation email. So I'll be double checking that tomorrow. So lots of outages going on across a lot of different websites. At the same time, the new CEO at Twitter is on the job, Linda Yaccarino, and I apologize if I pronounced her name incorrectly. She sent her first memo to employees titled Building Twitter 2.0 Together. She essentially said, people keep asking me, why Twitter? So I'll tell you, She says, from space exploration to electric vehicles, Elon knew these industries needed transformation, so he did it. Most recently, it's become increasingly clear that the global town square needs transformation to drive civilization forward through the unfiltered exchange of information and open dialogue about things that matter to most of us. Have you ever been talking with someone particular insightful thought, you're brilliant? Everyone should get a chance to hear this. Or, I'm learning so much from you. Can we do this again? Or maybe it's as simple as you should have the freedom to speak your mind. We all should. I remember talking to a senior fellow at Sandia National Labs many years ago. I was stuck on a major problem, and his name is Brian, and he came and we were talking about it, and he said, why don't you go, walked him through my issue, and he said, why don't you go here and look here for the issue and do a certain procedure, and I did that, and it fixed my issue. And what it was I had a walking genius next to me. So I said, how did you know that was the issue? And he walked me through step by step on why the problem that I was experiencing was where it was experiencing and how come I was experiencing it. And it was an engineering, probably 201 discussion. And I wasn't an engineer. I was just an aviation electronics technician, but, I was working on an engineering level on stuff. And it was brilliant. And it was one of those situations where I took that information that he shared with me and shared many, many, many times to people that I worked with over the years, explaining when we solved this phenomenon again. And it goes back to the story of sometimes these people should be heard. So going on to say what she said about the rest of her insight, she said, enter Twitter 2.0. Twitter's on a mission to become the world's most accurate real-time information source and global town square for communication. We're on the precipice of making history, and that's not an empty promise. That's our reality. When you start wrapping your arms around the powerful vision, literally everything is possible. You have to genuinely believe and work hard for that belief. In this moment of complete reinvention, we have the opportunity to reach across aisles, create new partnerships, celebrate new voices, and build something together that can change the world. And from what I can tell you so far, you're built for this. The success of Twitter 2.0 is all a responsibility. We need to think big. We need to transform. We need to do all together. And we can do it all by starting from first principles, questioning our assumptions, and building something new from the ground up. It's rare to have the chance to put a new feature in the hands of every person, partner, and creator on the planet. That's exactly why I'm here with all of you. She said, let's dig our heels in, or 4 inches or flat, and build Twitter 2.0 together. Signed it with her name, Linda. So, new sheriff's in town, and we'll see what happens at Twitter. With Elon not doing the day-to-day CEO stuff, even though he is remaining in charge of the engineering team. So we will see what happens with this. She led global ad sales for NBC Universal. She's in good position, knows that business well, and probably will do very, very well over there. So time will tell. All right, moving on to more content. The thinnest laptop with an OLED is from LG. It's called the LG Gram Super Slim, and it weighs in just at 2.2 pounds. It's incredibly portable, has a 15.6-inch OLED display with FHD resolution, and laptop successfully passed 7 durability tests, ensuring military-grade toughness. Well, I know military-grade toughness, and just get a little sand in them, see how long they last, in my opinion. But anyway, it's being run by 13th generation Intel Core i7, and it's very, very thin, 0.43. 0.43, so less than a half an inch. So does it say what it's going to cost, what the pricing is? 16 gigabits of RAM, $16.99, 32 gigs of RAM with 512 gig storage, $19.99. So not the cheapest laptop, but it is an i7, so it should be pretty powerful. AT&T has adopted Google's RCS platform to enhance messaging on Android phones. AT&T previously used its own RCS standard, so customers should experience enhanced messaging and instant access to new RCS features. AT&T is switching its default Android messaging again. Announcement came from a senior vice president at Google. And AT&T's default Android message will now be via the Jive platform. If that makes any sense. But anyway, interesting move by AT&T. Now, have you ever been bit by anyone? I can't say that I have. Maybe a child playing or something. I've been bit by a dog, but I don't know if I've ever really been bit by a human. But this is kind of scary. A Florida man gets flesh-eating infection from human bite during family fight. He declined to say what sparked the fight or what relative bit him, but he got bit on the thigh. Dun, da, da, da. And it was significant where the doctors could see the bite marks. He said he got the bite while trying to break up a physical fight between two family members. I wonder if he was one of the two. And he didn't say what sparked the brawl, raised eyebrows. But again, he got bite marks on the thigh, top of his thigh. And they damn near had to cut his leg off. And he's now pain-free and without a limp, but he has huge scar tissue because they had to remove like 6 inches of skin in a big diameter on top of his thigh. So if you get bit, ladies and gentlemen, immediately clean that thing out. Peroxide, do whatever you can do and seek medical attention immediately. Getting bit by a human mouth is worse than getting bit by a dog. Just telling you that. So we talked about Apple Vision on the last show, and what will Apple's vision be for Apple Vision be in 2025? Well, most of the fortunate few who spent time using the Vision Pro admit to being stunned by what Apple's built. But the question is, who is it for? What's the killer app? And it appears that everyone that saw this has been absolutely blown away. And Apple Silicon is going to be powering Apple Vision. But we will see what happens is. They've got to cut the power because basically this thing is going to be a power pig. And so the question really is, what is this really going to be? What's going to be the killer app? And we don't know yet. But developers, being the way they are, they're going to gain access to some form of development kit starting in July. And maybe someone's going to come up with something super cool. But still, $34.99 is a starting price. That's an amazing amount of money. All right, lots of talk about space and everything. We know that, oxygen is life. Artificial photosynthesis could help astronauts breathe on Mars. And they're doing work to establish a theoretical foundation of what's called a PEC device on the moon and to basically test something that could someday be used in going to Mars. And they need to save space, and fuel puts a limit on the amount of oxygen astronauts can carry with them. And we know at the International Space Station, oxygen is attained through electrolysis, a chemical process that leverages both electricity to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. And a separate system converts the carbon dioxide into water and methane. But it takes a lot of power. It takes 1.5 kilowatts of a 4.6 kilowatt energy budget, about a third of the total energy required to run the International Space Station's environmental control and life support system. So basically, they're trying to figure out a way to use less power, and they want to use photosynthesis. Photosynthesis in plants and take water as an input involves the separation of light harvesting and chemical production only when it drastically diminishes its weight and volume system. It also provides significant gains in terms of efficiency. So they're going to be studying this as they go to the moon to try to figure out a different way to create oxygen and not use so much energy to do so. So a good article, link will be up in the show notes. It's over at interestingengineering.com. One of the first times we've had an article from that website in some time. Hello, Ferdinand. Hello, by Ina. Hello, Mom. Thanks for saying hello on Facebook. Appreciate it. Elon Musk is looking to not utilize Google Cloud or Amazon Web Services as much. They're renegotiating their pricing for those products and services. And people are speculating if they stop doing that if they stop using those services, that is primarily what keeps the spam bots and moderation tools. That's what powers most of their moderation and spam tools. So people are worried if they cut that, they're going to become more open and more crazy. So I don't know. I think so far, I'm not seeing anything on Twitter that is really causing me concern. I've got pretty thick skin too, and a lot of people don't. But I guess people are concerned about this by them canceling contracts with Google Cloud and Amazon AWS. I'm sure they won't. It's just about negotiating a deal. Well, speaking of Google ad tech dominance spurs more antitrust charges. Of course, Google's ad revenue amounted to nearly $225 million in 2022, and this week in the European Union, they're preparing to lob yet another formal antitrust complaint against Google. Charges could come with a massive fine as the EU Commission follows in the U.S. Department of Justice footsteps and start pushing back against Google's alleged advertising technology industry dominance. And so we'll see. Ad tech drives a big part of Google's revenue, and about 80%. So, Google's ad tech is under fire because, hey, everyone else has been basically beat down and shoved out. And they do monopolize a huge part of the ad business. I'm having a call in a couple of days with a Google ad tech rep because, we're running some Google ads and they want to, teach me or sell me, how to spend more and get more value, so forth. No other company's calling me to do that. Google is. So, who else do we go to? There really isn't a lot of choices out there, to be kind of frank. A family-owned aerospace business throws a wrench in Boeing IP lawsuit. A tool that was allegedly used incorrectly to attach parts to the SLS and ISS. Now, there's oftentimes when I was active duty in the military that sometimes we would have to make a tool because sometimes the tool that we needed to take a part out didn't exist. We were working with lots of really weird stuff. And every once in a while, our normal toolbox tools did not do what we needed to do. And we would have to modify it. Maybe we'd have to bend a socket or, not a socket, but a wrench. It wasn't like major modifications, or we'd have to shave down one edge to get something in to be able to turn. That's kind of like stuff that, mechanics do when they're working on vehicles. They have a special thing they need for a special part, and they have a one-off tool that does that. And we protect those just one-off tools because, those are, when you need it, you need it. When you don't, you don't. But in this case, family-owned Wilson Aerospace had a special tool that was basically a special type of torque wrench. And they worked with them for several years and had a contract and was providing to it. And all of a sudden, well, Boeing said, oh, we don't need you no more because they made their own. But apparently they stole the IP from that company and tried to recreate the tool on their own without paying Wilson. Well, yeah, there's a lawsuit. So we'll see what happens with this. Sometimes people think that it's cheaper to pay the lawsuit than to pay the bill for the tool tech. I remember some software tools that we paid for that we had to have that was, a significant bill every year. But, we didn't try to reverse engineer it and go around them. It's just something we needed. It's a part of doing business. Well, if you want to know what's going on in the crypto space, Robinhood's May crypto trading volume fell 68% to $2.1 billion. They dropped like three different cryptocurrencies. They're now down to 12 that people can trade. So I don't know if you've noted this on your account or not. A little bit of tongue-in-cheek, opportunistic Atlassian, and we use Jira. Jira is a great product from Atlassian, and I probably pronounce it wrong. But, Meta, Dell, Google, and others are telling, come on back to the office. Well, DevOps Atlassian reckons this is not This is poor thinking. So never want to miss a good marketing opportunity. They're saying that Atlassian's 10,000 plus workforce is allowed to choose where they work, and co-CEO and co-founder Scott Farraker thinks around 40% live more than 2 hours from their nearest office. Companies tying butts and seats of performers or guilting their employees into charitable behavior is not only disingenuous but harmful, we said. By making these decisions, companies are stunting innovation, limiting opportunities to the hands of the few, and degrading the only thing they care about, connection. Around 78% of Atlassian software engineers meet in an office once a quarter, and about half visit the office at least once. 75 to 90% that live within 2 hours of the office come in once a month or more. So we're meeting as a team at Blueberry one time a year. Everyone else is out of the office the rest of the time. And we may increase that, but, we have pretty small teams. We don't have massive teams. So the teams work pretty together within themselves. The Federal Trade Commission will try to block Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and they're set to file an injunction seeking to block the acquisition. The FTC's already sued to block it before, but are choosing to bring the case before its internal administrative law judge. By filing for an injunction, the FTC seeks to stop the acquisition from going through before the July 18th deadline. So we'll see what happens with this one here. Beams from brightest gamma-ray bursts ever seen were pointed at Earth, and scientists are absolutely blown away. Astronomers nicknamed GRB 22100009A boat the brightest of all time and have been observing its afterglow ever since. It's 70 times brighter than any other gamma-ray burst first discovered in 50 years of observation. They found the jets emitted from the event. MSC humans' chance to observe a similar event would have come around only once in 1,000 years. And they do not understand how this was so strong. And they're trying to figure it out. So those of you that follow this type of stuff, link will be up in the show notes. Meanwhile, GrubHub has laid off 15% of its employees. It's the latest fast food delivery service to announce layoffs. And they've been hit hard. So they're going to get rid of 400 folks. And trying to cut costs. The quickest way to do that is get rid of employees. Meanwhile, New York City has set $18 per hour as the minimum wage for food delivery workers. App companies say we need to pay the workers nearly $20 an hour by 2025. So Uber Eats, GrubHub will be required to pay the workers $17.96 an hour plus tips. How about the workers in restaurants? I think here in Michigan, they only have to pay the workers in restaurants like $3. And then the rest is on tips. So, but anyway, $18 per hour for food delivery workers. And of course, in New York City, that's still, if you're in Manhattan and you do not live in Manhattan making $18 an hour. You do not. There's just, if you do, you live in a 10 by 10 room that you're subletting from 4 other people or something. It's crazy expensive there. Miscreants targeting Discord and Twitter accounts have stolen more than $3.3 million in cryptocurrency from 2,300 victims. Posing as journalists called Pink Drainer have been basically through social fraud be able to they contacted victims, they interviewed them, they sent them some software links, which eventually basically faked the site, and they basically sent credentials through that they shouldn't send, causing them to lose money. So be very, very careful what you click on. Australian retailers are deploying AI software to combat shoplifting. So the software known as Aurora, AUROR, is addressed the issue, enables major retailers like Woolworths and Bunnings to utilize AI and surveillance technology in their stores, aid the identification and apprehension of thieves. Of course, in America, we don't apprehend thieves. We just let them walk out. By uploading images of suspected shoplifters into the platform, retailers can cross-reference them with reported crimes to identify repeat offenders. The AI system can swiftly detect suspicious activity and send real-time alerts to security personnel. Software focused solely on information captured within stores, elevating the concern about live facial recognition and data privacy breach. I saw that there was, I don't know where, some Aldi's, in order to get into the store to shop, you have to use your mobile device and scan a QR code that's tied to your name, even to just walk in. You can't even get in the store without scanning a QR code to prove you are you to be able to go into the store. You can't just walk in and buy something. They don't, in this particular Aldi's, they don't allow it. And I thought that was very curious. And I didn't know Aldi's was the target of shoplifting. But just think about it. You scan to come in. They know everything about you, even if you are not signed up for their marketing piece. You can't go in and buy something without being tracked. It's very, very curious how this is being implemented. And I don't know, again, if it's to stop shoplifting, pilferage, or what. But someone was very, very upset. I saw an article on it and said, well, I'm not shopping here no more. So, but I think most people will just get the app and they'll scan to get in so they can go in and shop at Aldi's. What would you do if the store that you want to shop in requires you to scan in? If you think about it, when you're on Amazon, you're scanning in when you're on Amazon. You're on your account. You add it to they know everything, right? So is there a difference? You tell me. I'd really like to know. geeknews@gmail.com. geeknews@gmail.com. A Titanic-sized asteroid to pass Earth. Well, I guess it passed today. So I guess we're safe. Yeah, so it already buzzed by. So if we'd got whacked, we'd already know about it. So anyway, sorry. Italian super volcano may erupt after more than 500 years. Researchers emphasizing that further investigation is needed. But again, they're using an AI model to look at the floor of the volcano and see what's going on. And basically exhibited signs of unrest for over 70 years. So they think that this thing is about ready to go. So again, it's using an AI model to look at the floor of the volcano to see what's happening and determine if there's going to be a magna event. I guess that's the correct word. Not MAGA, magna event. SpaceX has launched another 52 Starlinks to space. And, this is like a daily occurrence over here. So I don't know. This is not necessarily news, but it is the 40th launch so far this year. NASA has got a new spacecraft out by the sun, and they're able to, it's called, it's a Parker Solar Probe. And they basically are looking at solar winds, and they're going to be able to more accurately determine when a very, very bad solar event's headed our way to disrupt communications and so forth. So they say they're going to have good predictivity of what's happening with the sun by the data they're collecting now, and know when harmful solar winds will be coming this way to light up our life and basically put us in darkness. So I thought that was kind of cool that they're looking at that. There's a new retro gaming console. It's called the Entertainment System. Offers 620 games for just $25. Play 620 classic game emulates on one device for $25. It kind of looks like a Nintendo, but it's not labeled as a Nintendo. But it's called the Entertainment System, which is, I think, a little odd. I'm going to sneeze. Okay. Sorry about that. Are you playing the game American Truck Simulator? Well, if you've been playing it, players are being recruited to drive real big rigs. But I watch a lot of YouTube, and the independent trucking business is in trouble. Independent drivers right now are just dying because of the rates. And I guess if you're driving part of a team and guaranteed a certain paycheck, you're probably okay. But if you're an independent driver out here, it's bad, and more bad. To the point where people are parking their trucks, turning off their insurance, and going finding different jobs. So, but if you're playing American Truck Simulator, anyone 18 and above is being marketed to. So I find that a little bit curious. So that's going to bring me to the end. Yes, the end of the content for today. And back here, obviously, in the studio, it's been fantastic to be back with you. And again, I head for Columbus very, very early tomorrow morning for 3 very, very intense days with my team. I've got an entire, basically from 9 a.m. to 5:30, and then including afternoon, evening, like going to dinner and those types of things. all planned out all the way through Friday. I'm excited to go down and hang out with the team. Again, it's been a year since we did this with everyone. And then I'll be coming back. Mike Dell, my the lead support guy, the lead support tech, basically he runs the support division for the company. He's taking the minivans down and he's going to be bringing a table for me. And I'm taking my car empty, devoid of maybe one suitcase and a few tools, and going to bring as much stuff as I can back in my SUV. And then I'll be back here Saturday midday to get unloaded and have everything that, at least in this load. And then we'll have a better idea of what we need to put into storage or what we're trying to sell. If you're in the Columbus, Ohio area, I have office furniture for sale and some very, very nice office furniture. So let me know. Drop me an email, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. We have been lit and live today, and I hope that you've been using one of these new podcasting apps, one of these newfangled podcasting apps that I've been talking about. And, you really, when you do that, it is a great way to support the show with a micropayment. Being able to send me as little as 25 cents all the way up to as much money as you want to send. We've had some people watching live tonight. I see the live streaming sats come in. So thank you to those of you that have been listening to the show live via one of those great newfangled podcasting apps. A lot of the apps are adding it. Pocket Cast is adding live functionality. It continues to grow. So get in the ballgame here. And maybe the app that you're already using does. And if the app that you're already using doesn't support podcasting 2.0 features, please ask the app developer to add these features to the app you're using today, so we don't have to have you switch to a new app. But there's 5 great apps now that you can get engaged with here in this new ecosystem. Again, it's been my pleasure to bring the show. Been great to be back in the studio. A little chilly here in southern Michigan, so I'm looking forward to a little bit warmer weather. Nothing too crazy. But everyone, thanks for being part of the family. Take care. We will see you on the next edition of the Geek News Central podcast. Take care. We'll see you next time.